Hi, this is episode 17 of this year's journey to try and achieve a double body weight squat in now my mid 40s. So last week I was mentioning that I'm using 3x10, using velocity loss threshold based approach, and I kind of met that target that I set for myself using that particular system, and it was time to move on to this week. I wanted to be able to answer the question, have I gotten closer to double body weight squat? So way back when, probably halfway through season one, I described using load velocity profiling. So rather than actually trying to do a 1RM squat, which has its pros and cons, but it's largely kind of a single snapshot, and there's a lot of risk that comes with that. So using a load velocity based approach, you can use submaximal loads, and it gives you an indication of what your predicted 1RM would be based on velocity. So I've anticipated that my 1RM would be hit at 0.25 meters per second. So my calculations are, what load do I believe, or what load is predicted for me to be at that particular speed at 0.25 meters per second. So that's what I was hoping to do this week. So I came on the first day of the week, it was Monday, and I did it, and I was happy. It did not give me good results, but I did that quite early in the morning, and I've kind of mentioned over the last few weeks that because of kind of conflicting time demands, that training for me has had to be in the mornings rather than mid-morning, mid-afternoon, when I feel I'm at my optimal, or the best version of myself I could be from a training point of view. But you can't have everything in life. You've got to work with what you've got, and that's what I've got, and I can still do my training. So off I went and did it. So did it first thing in the morning. I'm not happy with that. So I thought maybe it's just an off day. Maybe it's just an off day, and I'll try again the next day, and I'll still look at the same picture. So now maybe I'm thinking, I have gone weaker, even though this last phase of training had gone well and I've got progress. I've gotten weaker. So I did it again on Friday, but kind of more towards mid-morning, middle of the day. So what I've got here is a comparison, which is the blue day one, orange day two, and then the grey bar are the values from the third day, which was mid-morning. And what I can see really here, it tells me, it kind of validates what I already knew, but I can now put some metrics and numbers to this, which was actually at the lightest load, so 60-70 kilograms. There's no real difference. It doesn't really have a bearing on me whatsoever, but that's so maximal now that it's probably irrelevant. It's not really a useful kind of metric velocity at those weights. It's not really telling me a great deal. But as I up the weight, the load gets up, the percentage of my 1RM goes higher, the time of day seems to make a big impact. So the most profound being, so if you look at the far right, those three kind of bars on the far right hand side, kind of hopefully just there, is we've got the 3 repetitions did at 130 kilograms. So you've got on the first day 0.29. So that's basically telling me that on that particular day, my 1RM was around the 130 mark, which the last time I did this was nearly 160. So that's why I wasn't particularly happy. The next day I tried it was I think it was like 0.32 or something like that. So a little bit better, but still nowhere near what I anticipated. I was still anywhere near the last value that I did. And then on the last day which I did it, which is mid-morning, it came out at, I think it was in the 0.44s. And you can see there's a marked difference in that grey bar between the blue and the orange. So that tells me if I need to do any testing, any load velocity profile, anything like that, then anything that isn't done before 9:30, 10 o'clock is going to be a subdued or suppressed performance by me. So if I can't do that on a Friday at the moment, then Friday's my testing day. So disregarding the first two pieces of data, I went and calculated my percentage of 1RM. But I thought it was quite an interesting tale to tell. And actually, if you're training yourself, you might have some flexibility. But actually, how many of us get to choose when we get to train or how we get to train? Certainly at the minute I don't. I've got to kind of fit around the windows of opportunity that I've got. So actually, your strength or performance on any given day is maybe better or worse depending on when you get to do that. But what does that mean in terms of where I've been at? So what I've actually seen over this phase is nothing of any great note. In fact, actually quite disappointingly, my 1RM prediction at 0.25 meters per second has declined. It's gone from about down 10 kilos actually. So even though all this work and my ability to squat 120 kilos for 10 repetitions has definitely gotten faster, that hasn't translated to, in here, a better performance. Although what has happened is that my load at zero velocity has gone up. Now, nobody can move weight at zero velocity because you're not moving. It's a hypothetical thing. It's a mathematical thing more than it is a useful metric. But what it does tell me is the shape of the graph has changed. So what that basically means is rather than being an almost, again, I'll try to use like quite a vertical graph. There's quite a steep drop off between, quite a steep drop off in velocities between loads. It's maybe shallowed out a little bit more so that the top end's dropped a little bit and the bottom end's kicked out a little bit. That might well mean that actually there's a little bit more than that, and I could maybe potentially squat at a 0.2. I don't know. But from a purely mathematical point of view, the line in the sand that I drew was 0.25 meters per second. And this particular chart tells me that not only have I not got better, I've got a little bit worse, which is really frustrating, a little bit disappointing. But in terms of not moving me to my overall goal, it is disappointing. But I got to look back and actually look, well, I did this because the numbers that I've been doing have gotten better. I could see very clearly the numbers are there. I put them up every week. That for the same thing that I was doing, I was squatting 120 repetitions for 10. I went back 6-7 weeks ago and I couldn't finish a set of 10. I now can finish a set of 10. I can finish a set of 10 without having a velocity loss drop off, and the average velocity of those repetitions I've gotten better. What it doesn't mean though is that what I've just done has translated to being better at squatting maximal load. So my strength capacity, in fact strength endurance, if these things even are a term, has improved. But the thing that I was most importantly prioritising, the back squat max strength, hasn't translated to getting better. So I kind of, pleased and not pleased, like the evidence to this point says like that I got better at the thing that I was doing, but it hasn't necessarily translated into the thing that I was trying to get better at. But it might well be that this is all general preparation to prepare me for more specific training. And I've talked to the last 2 years about every time I've tried to train hard, get close to percentage of 1RM, I've broken. And I had to go and do this body of work to be hopefully more robust. So this is where I now hopefully start to see it paying off. I'm moving to 3 sets of 5, or 5 sets of 5, which is 2 workup sets and 3 sets of 5. So I've actually been doing 120 kilos this week, but I've done the math, I've done my load velocity testing. So I'm hoping to be around about the 0.3, 0.4 meters per second mark for 5 repetitions. So you kind of start off at 120, probably be 125 by the time I load the bar up, and try to kind of get to the average set is over 0.4, then knock it up a little bit. I'm also, this is the real challenge of kind of being my own programming, doing my own programming, is our way of saying it, doing my own programming. It's like, what else do I put in there? So I've kind of signed up to weightlifting comp, so now I've kind of second guessing what I need to kind of layer on top of that to make me a better weightlifting. So if somebody else was coaching me, that'd be easy because they write me a program and I can go and do it. And before it was relatively easy because it was just really general, like squat, hinge, push, pull, twist. That was it. It was like, that's your core movements, put them in there. Now I'm thinking more specifically around about how can I add in some assistance work for weightlifting. Weightlifting is quite complicated as an exercise, so it becomes not easy. I know too many kind of different ways of doing things to be able to go, right, I'm just going to do that. So I've prattled around with them exercises this week, which has been quite nice just to prattle around with exercises, but I need to put together a kind of proper program that I stick to for the next kind of 4-6 weeks. But the other thing that's probably happened there is, well, my load has predicted load has gone down. My peak power, my mean power in the squats has ever so slightly risen. Or it certainly hasn't declined anyway. So I have become more powerful, almost like Darth Vader, but not quite. And certainly not more powerful than I can possibly imagine. But that's been nice. And what it does show is that although I haven't had the increase in predicted 1RM strength, there has been some positive adaptation to that, and actually it hasn't. Not everything has dropped down, other than the predicted 1RM. And then, kind of finally, I've been doing my monitoring. So I do 3 cleans of 70 kilograms or 3 snatch of 50 kilograms before every session. They alternate lifts between each session. So I do 2 one week and 1 of the other exercise each week, and that's been really kind of dropping over a period of time, and hopefully that's now starting to kind of rise back up again more consistently. As I start to do a little bit more weightlifting, I hope that would be continuing on the rise as I become more proficient at the skill, as opposed to kind of a biological, a biomotor quality. I can't get my teeth in today. So there's been quite a lot of data this week, and some ups and downs, figuring things out, making sense of what I've got in front of me. But I think what's happening now is because I've got a body of data that shows me my progress between each thing, and it's like there's an arbitrary goal, like there's an objective goal, so I can't move on to the next thing till I've done this. Even if I test at the end of that block and that test doesn't show positive adaptation, I know I've gotten better through that block of training, and that is really kind of helpful. But hopefully do another kind of block of 5x5, and that's a bit more heavy, a bit more specific, and that will then translate into an increased 1RM next time I try.